internet and yeah, headroom. There we go. Yeah, professional. Welcome to the Free-to-Play cast, brought to you by MMOBomb.com, your home for all things free-to-play related. I'm your host, Mike Byrne, aka Magic Man. This is episode 221, recording on May 25th. You're watching it on the 26th or later, and we've got more PR snafus, as if a couple of weeks of Terra wasn't enough. Then we're gonna move on to something else cheerful, divisive MMO topics, and we'll follow it up with a couple thoughts on some first looks that we put up. But before we get to that, let's introduce the panel this week. Mr. Jason Winter, what's up, sir?
You know, if a little messed up headroom is the least professional thing we do on this cast, we'll be just fine.
Then we are leaps and bounds above awesome. Other places. Also on the line, Mr. Zach Sharps. How are you?
I'm doing all right. How about you guys?
I can't complain. Zach, you're going to be with us this week and the next week, but then you're taking a bit of a hiatus. What, do you mind telling people what's going on?
Yeah, I'll be doing an internship for 10 weeks, and if I get a job after that, then I'll probably be on the show again for months on end until that internship starts when I graduate, and yeah, so internship.
We will be having Jason, we will be having Q, we'll be having Troy, and there might be a surprise or two along the way.
So internship with like a secret society or something? You can learn to assassinate people and
yeah,
all that sort of thing?
Yeah. You see the Illuminati, they contacted me, and you know they appreciated my work in the past.
I don't think that's the way.
I think that is,
absolutely.
Dude. Like, I went to Skull and Bones too, and you know.
Wait, no, I have no idea if that's how it works. No, not at all.
Pretty sure that's not how that works. But let's get started with the news. All right, so I wanted to think of something like witty, like punny here, but it was World of Tanks that caused the... I wish it would have been World of Warships that caused the issue, because then I could say Wargaming hit a PR iceberg. You know that, but I couldn't make the parallel to the tank universe, Jason. So I don't know if there's something a tank might commonly hit. Well, if you're playing a ditch, so maybe Wargaming hits a PR ditch might work.
You know, that's wrong tank game, first of all. But it's too bad it's not World of Warplanes either, because one of the better-known warplanes of World War II was called the Fokker. So you could have said that it was a Sir Fokker mayor or something. But
so it was weird. We didn't do a cast last week, and you know we hate canceling a cast when everybody's available. You know, if the schedules don't permit and we can't move it, then fine. That's real life. That happens. But Jason and I, like, we struggle, because in the background, we want to do a cast every week, but we also don't want to come on here and talk for 45 minutes about total shit news. You know, like this thing launched.
Crap news?
Crap news. This thing launched, this thing shut down. All right, let's go to the bombs. And so we had to make a tough call last week. We really didn't have any news, and we were looking at pushing it to maybe Friday just to see if something bigger would happen, but then we start running into availability because people aren't typically ready to do this on a Friday. And then, all of a sudden, Friday went ape crap. It just went ape crap with news. So Jason posted his piece, which we're going to talk about next, which we thought would make an interesting segment on the show for the three of us to chime in on. But then, like, everything just went south for Wargaming, popular company behind World of Tanks. And there's been some resolution since then. It's gone on through the weekend into the early stages of this week into resolution. But Jason, let's pick up right at the beginning. What happened? Why did it happen? And why are we calling this a PR Titanic sinking?
Okay, so about a month ago, it looks like, Wargaming put out a premium tank for $80 called the Chrysler Chrysler GF or whatever it is. Just calling it the Chrysler. One of their community contributors, who's like an unpaid volunteer position, which is, you know, a few perks here and there, but your typical volunteer program you see with a lot of games.
So, like, if I'm a decently known World of War Tanks YouTuber, I might be a part of that type of group. YouTuber,
streamer, or maybe even blogger. I don't know how much they extend it, but yeah, that sort of thing.
Okay.
So one of their guys goes by Sir Foch, F-O-C-H. He's I don't know what nation he's from, obviously somewhere in Europe. He posted a video that was not flattering to the Chrysler. He dropped more F-bombs than like Andrew Dice Clay, for those who go way back, like we're doing like a whole concert.
A dated reference.
That was the first thing I could think of when I was thinking of F-bombs. But anyway, Yeah, he was just like, F this tank, F
Oh!
Wargaming, F all of this, F.
Oh!
He was just, yeah, he went crazy.
That was my
So,
dice
yeah.
clay for you, by the way.
Okay, sure. I don't remember that well. Jeez. So anyway, he posted this video, and it sat around apparently for about a month to look at the screenshots that he posted, about 3 weeks or so. The screenshots that he posted later, because he posted screenshots because someone who works for Wargaming, one of their community managers, a guy who goes by Phelan, then said, "Hey, this isn't cool." Let's see here. He said, doing this video is simply not professional and completely ruins the relationship we have. I have to remove you from the contributor program, also from the list of TankFest invites. Okay.
Okay,
so they said,
let's stop there for a second.
Yeah.
Let's stop right there for a second. Zach, so far, I don't think there's anything in here that too many people would argue with, right? He said some not flattering things, and whether you think Wargaming's being a dick about it or not, they didn't like it, and they said, hey, we think it was unprofessional the way you did this. By the way, we probably aren't fans of the particular content in this video because it wasn't flattering of the tank itself. We're going to remove you from the community group. I don't think if it had stopped there, this would be anywhere newsworthy. Do you?
No, because I think if it was like just criticism without as much profanity, then it probably would have been fine. But I mean, it sounds like he dropped a ton of profanity, which is unprofessional and uncalled for. I mean, you could criticize something very harshly without that. So I think if the words were different, I don't think this would even happen.
Well, and even if it did, and I'm not chastising the video, I mean, there's a certain element, I mean, Andrew Dice Clay is an actual good example of, there's a certain element of being salty like that appeals to a certain audience type. And it's not like this was a one-off. His videos kind of tend, maybe not as salty as this particular video, but his videos tend to follow that same trend. So maybe that's him, maybe it's a character he plays for YouTube, I don't know. And I'm not faulting him for that. You got your audience, appeal to the audience. Mm-hmm. So even the way it stands right now, with the language and everything that was used in the video, if all Wargaming would have done, Jason, is said, we think that, yeah, we knew you were, you know, this type of content, but this went a little too far for us. We don't want that type of thing in our community group anymore, so we're going to drop you from there. I don't think the internet backlash would be huge. Maybe a few people would be ticked, but in general, it would not have gotten as big as it did.
No, not at all.
The reason it did was because that's not all Wargaming did.
Yes, because then Phelan went on to say, please remove the video from your channel. Which, again, on its own...
Which, again, sure, they can
ask.
ask.
Okay, if you're going to ask him that,
he can say no.
Yeah, that's what he said. He said, no, it's staying there. So Phelan responded, it is up to you, but in that case, we will have to go through YouTube and take it down with a copyright strike.
And this is where it hit the fan.
And he just explains, he says, if we have to do this, you'll be able to monetize any Wargaming content in the future, so I strongly suggest removing the video and avoiding similar ones in the future. And it went back and forth, and Sir Foch went back and said, no, I'm not going to do that. You know, the video is staying there. You can do that whatever you want. And Phelan said, nope, we're still going to have to do this. Sorry. And yeah, that was when it all hit the fan. Once Sir Foch put this stuff up live, put these chat transcripts on his website and on the forum, or sorry, on the forums and on Reddit, that was, as you said, when it hit the fan.
Yeah, now, and Sir Foch or Sir Foch, however you want to pronounce it, I'm not familiar with his content to the extent that I would know, and I apologize, sir, if you happen to be watching this for the mispronunciation. To his credit, he kind of backed off and said, this just isn't worth my time, and took the video down voluntarily. But the threat was there, Zach, and the threat was in writing. It was literally, hey, we're going to abuse YouTube's copyright policy, even though we know and you know this is not a copyright violation, but we're going to use that defense to do this because you're technically using our stuff in the footage, which, by the way, hasn't been a problem before. The manner of your delivery, whether offensive to some or not, hasn't been a problem before. None of these have been problems before. We have a problem with this specific video, and we're going to use a system in a way that it's not technically designed to be used to rip the monetization from you and block you from putting up stuff. And that's where gamers lost their mind, Zach.
And that's really honestly where I think that they're just completely in the wrong. I mean, that's basically censoring or trying to censor someone because you don't agree with the way that they did a particular thing. And so I don't agree maybe with the, the excessive profanity or whatever in the guy's video. That's my own opinion. And I get why maybe they wanted to remove him from maybe their, content creators program or whatever. That's my opinion. But when it really comes down to it, it's factually incorrect for someone to censor someone with a DMCA or a copyright strike, whatever you want to call it, over someone else's opinion towards your product. You can't do that. It's fair use. And if I was this guy, I would have fought it and fought it and fought it and made multiple videos about what they were trying to basically say in their defense. Because number one, he would have got a lot of exposure for it, so it would have been a win-win for him. And number two, he would have been completely in the best position because he would be on the right side of these things. Because you just can't win if you're, World of Tanks and whatnot, Wargaming, this particular type of argument that, oh, they said something bad about our game, so it's a copyright issue. No, it's not. That's not how copyright works. And a counterclaim or an attack towards that to defend yourself would have been successful because YouTube is somewhat understanding of these things. They know that companies are going to be a little triggered, so I think that it would have been reversed pretty quickly.
I don't know if I agree with that last portion. You had me all the way until that last portion. I've seen some YouTube stuff go really south for really stupid reasons. And I commend Sir for handling it the way he did. I mean, he took the grievance public so that people knew it was happening because it's something that could potentially happen to somebody else. Which
he certainly should have.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think he also kind of said, you know what, fine. I'll take the video down just because it's not worth the aggravation to me. Toss me out of your little club. That's fine because I never asked to be part of it anyway. It wasn't like he applied or paid money or anything. They asked him because he made content and he happened to know a couple of people that were already in that group, so they got him in the group. And okay, fine. You want to throw me out? I commend Sir on those. If everything that he's typed on Reddit is 100% true, I commend him for the way he handled it. He recognized, all right, fine. You want to throw me out of your group? Okay, I get that. But now you're threatening my livelihood in a way that the system is not meant to be threatened. Then it didn't go away then. It didn't go away then because initially World of Tanks Wargaming team seemed to double down on this in some forum posts. And then Jim Sterling, who had picked this up early too, posted his video of the Jimquisition on Monday that talks about this whole thing. Highly recommend you go check that video out. I'll put a description or a link in the description below for you. If you're interested in this whole story, Jim goes from beginning to end in a very thorough and efficient manner. Whether you are a fan of Jim Sterling or not, at least it'll get you the info for this situation. But then they doubled down on it in the forums initially, right, Jason?
Yeah, so, I mean, about the same time, maybe about a day later, after it exploded on the forums, Feline got on the forums and said, yes, I have indeed removed Surfosh from the community contributor program, asked him to remove his content about the Chrysler, and he says, what did he say? The reason for this, not that he criticized the tank or the company, but the way he did it. The video was offensive, inappropriate, and frankly, slanderous. Now, slander legally is saying something that is harmful and false about a company.
And not just false, the speaker has to intentionally know that it is false. It doesn't, if I think it's totally legit due to whatever reason, I'm still not technically guilty of slander. I have to willingly know what I am saying is 100% false and aim to hurt Jason with it for him to be able to come after me with slander, or if it was written in a libel suit. At least, again, we're all U.S. based, so we're talking U.S. laws here.
Yeah, and based, and I said this in the article. I said too, okay, yeah, he gets on about, oh, it's pay to win, it's crap, whatever. Which, okay, that's somewhat opinionated, and maybe you could make a little argument there that it's false on some level. But in that case, every argument that anything in a game is pay to win is slanderous by that definition. Right. We've all done it. Right. We've all seen a million videos that do it. So those are all illegal.
There's 200-something episodes of the free-to-play cast that would get all three of us sued.
Exactly. So and then like you said, even Jim Sterling did his video. I think he said he wrapped it up on like Sunday. Just as he was wrapping it up, he got a response because he had posted a little teaser on Friday saying he was going to do this. he got a response from Wargaming. It didn't say who at Wargaming. It didn't say a particular person or whatever. But then they basically tripled down on it and said basically the same thing with the content he said. That, well, not only that, but he also said, if the person who responded from Wargaming said, if those videos continue to include hate speech and homophobic slurs, we will take the necessary and appropriate action. And it's like, where were those in the video?
All right, Zach, we're going to take down your movies due to copyright violation, even though it's not a copyright violation. We're going to accuse you of slander, even though it's not slanderous. We're going to accuse you of hate speech and homophobic slurs. Okay, I can tell you for 100% for sure, in the video in question, to me, there was neither of those things. I read initially that they were saying, you know, we don't like when people criticize the team. And, okay, I can even go with the developer on there if they're like, you know, Jason, the art design here is awful, he's effing this, he's effing that, he's effing this. Why you might stand up for Jason as his employer. I get that. Nobody was singled out. No teams were singled out. It was just F-U Wargaming was basically the sentence that was uttered in the video. All right, so I didn't see hate speech or homophobic slurs in that, and I don't know the gentleman's content enough to know if there was ever any of that stuff in previous videos. I don't know. Maybe Wargaming is aware of a video that I have not seen. However, to me, it wasn't a problem when it actually happened. It's only a problem now when you want this particular video removed, and so now Wargaming, you've totally removed the leg you're trying to stand on there. Just triple down on this stuff, Zach. Day after day, they just kept going.
Yeah, and that's why I would have fought it, because you would have other YouTubers to back you up, and big YouTubers too. I'm sure, like, if this escalated enough, even like Philip DeFranco probably would have posted about it, because he's had issues with YouTube in the past and, you know, different regards regarding copyright, and eventually it would have been overturned. Yeah, it would have been a long, strenuous process, but it would have been the right thing, because now they just keep doubling and tripling down on this and continuing to bury themselves. And I honestly, you know, now that I've heard of all this stuff, I don't think I could play a Wargaming game, because I've had such a huge issue with this type of stuff in the past, and I don't at all I don't like it at all. That's one of the reasons why I don't like Nintendo that much, because they have these same issues as well. But at least they're like, okay, well, you know, we have a hard stance on this. We actually have it on paper. This is our stance. Wargaming's like, oh, well, we were fine before until you criticize us the wrong way, and now we're just going to go, you know, crazy about this and, you know, cause a huge fuss over it. That's completely incorrect. Like, if they had this in paper before,
right,
that would have been much more appropriate, in my opinion, because at least there is a line that you don't, you know, that you know not to cross.
Right.
But in this case, it's invisible. He crossed the line that he didn't even know was there, and now all this happened.
It's like the opposite of Terra, where they had it all in writing, they just chose not to enforce it, and then all of a sudden tried to enforce it. Jason, what compounded the issue a little bit was in that same forum thread, there's other Wargaming representatives saying, we would never threaten to do this, or do this. Right above and below posts where this community manager acknowledges doing exactly what... Finally, this week, Wargaming said, enough's enough, and released a statement to just kind of end the conversation, a mea culpa, if you will. What did it say, Jason?
Yeah, they printed this right on the front page of their website. Maybe not on the front page, but it's like a full statement on their website and everything. So it's not buried or anything like that. It's right there. And it says, you know, we have further reviewed the incident of last Friday involving Sir Foch and his Chrysler KGF rant video, and we know we could have handled the situation a lot better. They go on with all the usual things about we support our consumers, our community contributors, and so on and so forth. And the bolded statement, the main point they have right there is, our official position is that Wargaming will not take copyright action against opinions based on our publicly released content. And this is co-signed by their product director, general manager Europe, general manager North America, and their publishing director for World of Tanks. So they got the main people there. They signed, you know, put 4 important people there, got their names on it, and issued once and for all the statement to know exactly where they stand on this issue.
And the funny thing is, everybody probably would have been fine saying, hey, we tossed him from our community group. We asked him to take down the video because we felt it was inappropriate, but he said no. And if it had stopped right there, I don't think anybody would have had a problem. Even Sir Foch said in the Reddit post, Fine. You want to take me out of the... Okay, fine. Yeah, I get it. I swore a lot. I didn't like something that you guys did a lot. Okay, the video didn't make you guys happy. Toss me from the group. Whatever. That's fine. But it took 5 days to figure out that the answer was not to abuse YouTube's copyright system, to claim slander, to claim slurs, all these things that weren't... Why did it take 5 days to arrive to what was ultimately the 100% correct thing to be saying? We removed him from the group. We didn't like the content. We don't want that to be any of our community stuff anymore. That's the end of the story. We tried to get him to take the video down, but he said no.
I think he, because Feline said he was going out of the office, it took them 5 days to locate him to shut him up. Because I really kind of believe this is just that one guy just going nuts with power or something. If he's the only one that really posted this, he might have been the one who reached out to Jim Sterling and gave that like additional statement to it. There's no name attached to it, so I don't know.
Or he's just the one being thrown under the bus.
No, he's throwing himself under the bus. Or under the tank.
No, everybody pushing him to be there alone. We would never do this, except you. Get out.
It's not that they even said they were going to discipline him or anything. We said, we will never do this. Then he comes on and say, hey, I'm totally doing this. Right. And it's like, dude, what are you even?
I seem to remember a headline not 2 months ago about the Wargaming CEO saying, hey, we were a little arrogant.
Right, I remember that now.
2 months later, this happens. Zach, I'm going to give you the final word on this one. What do you think? I mean, ultimately, to me, they finally arrived at this was a total self-inflicted wound by Wargaming. Total self-inflicted wound and PR snafu that they didn't need to have happen. And then they ultimately arrive at what is... everybody would have deemed to be the correct decision anyway. Does that fix it for you? Are you willing to say, all right, this was one guy that maybe acted quickly, but the company realized this? Or is it just too much damage done for you? Screw them.
It's not enough right now. They need to do more than this. I mean, honestly, this...
I mean, what? What would they do? Oh, I mean...
Like, compensate him in some way for basically what he did. Like, because it's one of those things where they were completely legally incorrect to do this in the beginning. So if he wanted to take them to court over like a fair use argument, he would have won it. So in that regard, he would have been correct. So compensate him in some way. Maybe, throw him an invitation to like a convention or whatever, or to come meet them, or maybe
that's what he had when he was in the program.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Throw him that again. Be like, hey, sorry, we fully understand why you maybe felt this way. Let's talk about it. Have an open forum and let's discuss the issues with the game that you feel are a thing, and talk it out with them. Or maybe just have them re-upload the video and promote it, and have the community decide what they think about it. Stuff like that would have been easily able to mend the wounds that they sort of caused here. A statement's basically like, oh, we screwed up, guys. We're not going to do anything about it, but hey, the deed's been done. Our bad. I don't agree that's the only thing that they can do. And there's definitely stuff that they can work towards to mend these wounds completely.
I don't know. I just don't see Wargaming cutting a check or anything like that.
Oh, they probably won't. Like, it's completely unreal expectations. They're making so much money right now, it doesn't even matter.
Here's the thing. I think the video should have just been, if you didn't like it, it should have just been ignored.
Exactly.
If you want to toss him out of the group, fine. But even then, I mean, it's not like you didn't know the type of content the dude was creating already. He had that salty persona, and that was the whole thing. And he was speaking the way he felt. Wargaming, particularly World of Tanks, is one of those games, Jason, that's so damn big that you have a huge base of people that will defend that game no matter what they do. Every game has the ultimate fanboys that the game can do no wrong. World of Tanks has so many people playing it that they have a big group of those fans. If the video was that off base, the comment section and the up and down votes would have taken care of that video for Wargaming. They didn't
exactly.
They didn't need to do anything. I don't know. To me, the apology's enough. Yeah, I'd like to see him back in the community group. I think maybe I'd go with you there and say
I don't think he'd want to be.
But I don't think he'd want to do it at this point.
At least the invitation, though, would have been enough sentiment to be like, hey, we're sorry, and that would have been it, I think. So.
All right, moving on. Since that's what really got under Sir Foch, I'm so sorry, skin, let's talk about what gets under our skin. Jason, you wrote an article this week on divisive MMO things, and these could run the gamut of chat filters all the way to inventory management systems to full-blown content, just things that maybe just really get under your skin. But there's that part of your brain that also acknowledges that's there because there is an awful lot of other people that feel the exact opposite of me. So touch on yours and take us through the piece a little bit, and then Zach and I will give ours.
Yeah, I didn't want to just make it, just straight up rant, like, what do you hate about MMOs, and, straight as that. I just wanted to make it something that, yeah, you hate it about MMOs, but you kind of understand, or any other kind of games, MOBAs or shooters or whatever, but you understand why it's there. You understand why other people like it. You know that for every person that hates it, there's another person who probably loves it. So in my case, I got into the notion of just having too many options in games. I played a lot of games where, and this kind of ties into the whole, having my inventory filled up with multiple crap or whatever. But even just a game where, like, I'll take Lord of the Rings Online as an example. Now there are, I want to say there's like 22 or 23 different inventory slots. The 6 chest pieces, you get 6 armor pieces. You got your weapon, you got your secondary weapon, you got your class item, you got your something else, you got your 12 pieces of jewelry or whatever. All that other stuff. And I'm just like, if the game had like 10 of those, I think I'd be happy. I think I'd still be happy with having it be that many. It's just too much work for me, at least at this stage of my life, to try and manage all those, make sure I have them all fully upgraded, have the right stuff in them. Because a lot of them also then, they have a part of it you have to grind up, like you have to grind up experience for your legendary weapons or these things you insert into your armor, and it's just like one pile of thing after another. And I just can't deal with that sort of stuff anymore. But I get that some people want to be able to tweak every single little dial on their character and customize absolutely everything. Have 50 different things I got to keep track of because, if I have my build where I've got plus 23 strength in this thing and the other guy only has plus 22 in his, I'm going to be that much better because I worked to get this extra little bit in my thing. And I get that people like that. It's just not for me anymore. And that's sort of my thing where I just don't want to see that anymore. I want it simplified. I want it to have a little less stuff, less inventory, less accessories, whatever. Doesn't like I said, I don't want it to be like 3 things, one weapon, one armor, one magic thing, a little more than that, but I just feel like it's gone a little overboard in recent years.
From the article, Pyr Round gives 2, so thank you, Pi. Pi says, I got 2, which are probably related. Funny thing is, I'm on the flip side of both of these.
There you go, then.
So Pi says, first is names. In a game where my blank slate player character is an important agent in the world, he has to have a name that makes sense, given his race and background. So a little bit of kind of an RP flavor here, right? Elves have elven names, orcs have orcish names, etc. I'll spend literally hours coming up with the perfect name to fit my character and make sure he fits into his culture in the game. And I often have to have multiple choices in mind because my favorite is usually taken. That said, I just don't get how people can stand having names like Big Dick Wolfman 9236. It breaks my sense of immersion. I don't call anyone out on it because I'd have to call out half of a given WoW server, but still, I'm the flip side of that. I
totally agree with them. I totally agree with them.
Do you?
I hate those people.
Zach, which side of the fence are you on here?
I mean, I think it has to be somewhat like normal of a name. Like, for example, I usually use like Healthorian or whatever. Now, of course, everyone's going to try and take that, but it's at least fantasy in a sense, right?
Oh, I already rolled that on Kritika Online, so never mind. Don't even try.
But if you choose something that's not like to the theme of the game, that's for me immersion breaking to a certain degree.
I'm the exact. I don't care. There's like stock names that I use because I've used them for years and years and years now. But like and the funny thing is I play games like Final Fantasy 11, Final Fantasy 14, games where the naming convention stuff is available to me on the Wikipedia. Like if you pick the females end in these consonant sounds, the males end. Screw that. Big Dick Wolfman 9236. Roll it. Let's go. Pyre Round's second one is fashion. In WoW, I've spent innumerable hours hunting down the perfect transmog. In Monster Hunter, I'm a fashion hunter. In Warframe, fashion frame is the true endgame. My character has to look good. I mean, I'm going to be staring at them for hours upon hours, so I have to make them look as good as I can, right? I don't get how people deal with walking around the most eye-burningly garish outfits I've ever seen. Like, this is stuff you wouldn't dream of wearing in real life. And again, I am the exact opposite. Final Fantasy XIV's huge glamour system. I have never once glamored a single piece of gear, and in fact, the more outlandish that the leveling gear or the end game gear, as I'm acquiring piece instead of the full sets, I'm getting it a piece at a time. I love it. I love when I look
Do you at least dye? Do you at least match
No.
your colors at all?
Nope.
No? Oh my god.
Nope. If I'm
Wow.
going from one tier to the next and I buy the pants first, I'll have everything on my mage decked out in my black mage decked out in black. And
We
then,
need a screenshot
and then
of this.
green
We need a
pants.
screenshot.
Nope. Nope.
Yeah,
What an
we do.
animal.
We totally do.
So both of you are with Pyre Round. You got to look good.
Yeah, I mean, in ESO, I have a very matching theme going on, and I do that with every game that I can. Like some games, it's very difficult to, but I try to at least.
How's Morrowind, by the way? I haven't played it.
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
I've been enjoying it. I don't think it was worth $40 though, because there's no dungeons added, but it is what it is.
Go ahead, Jason. Glamour.
It depends for me. Sometimes, usually I'll try to make something that looks good, looks cool, and sometimes I'll just put on some crazy crap and paint it in wacky colors and be just weird. So it depends. I'll go back and forth a little bit, but at least I try to have a theme. At least I like dye my stuff to make the colors look right, not like you with random whatever crap you're wearing.
Don't care. Don't care. It doesn't bother me. In fact, when it looks goofier, I've run around in just leopard underwear before and tanked.
Well, that's
It
different.
doesn't, the Santa hat, and it doesn't matter to me.
Who hasn't done that? I mean,
Right. That's a Saturday evening at the Byrne household here. My two, I've got two for you. One, everybody sees coming, autopathing. Although I have a hard time actually seeing the side of the audience that likes autopathing and thinks it should be in there. I just hate it. But I understand there's probably an audience that likes it. The other side that maybe you didn't see coming is I hate PvP being jammed into my MMORPGs. I hate it. I hate it. Final Fantasy XIV did not need PvP. It just didn't. It just didn't. It still doesn't. I understand there's a lot of people that like it. I understand developers want to put it in there to appeal to a broad base of people. I get it. I totally get it. I know why it's there. But it doesn't need to be in a lot of cases. So those are my two. Go ahead, Zach.
Yeah, so I just have one. It's last hitting in MOBAs. I despise it so much, and that's also foreshadowing my bomb this week, because I've been playing a lot of and been anticipating. Well, I haven't been playing it lately because it's currently offline. But Master X Master, I cannot wait to play that game when it's fully out. I love that game a lot. And also Heroes of the Storm as well. What do both those games not have? Last hitting. Why do I not like last hitting? Because I think it subtracts from the other good components of a MOBA. Like farming lanes for experience. Instead of just focusing on that last hit, focus on the actual person in the lane. I don't understand why the other element needs to be there. And also the team fighting. Like the team fighting in MOBAs is fantastic, especially when you're trying to, go get like Baron buffer in League of Legends or whatever. And the other team, sees that you're doing that because they have a ward or whatever, and they come and try and attack it or try and steal it. Like that to me is more thrilling than sitting around in lane trying to make sure I get the last hit so I get gold. Like, I just find it like an extra step that's not needed. And I know that there's a lot of people that don't, and a lot of people that really enjoy that aspect because it's very, I guess, methodical and somewhat of a, calming experience for them. A calm before the storm, I guess you could say. But I've just never been a fan of it.
That's me. I totally just park it in the lane and steal the last hit. Because I suck at them. I suck at the MOBAs. All right. Yeah.
Speaking of sucking at MOBAs, let's go to our next
Speaking
topic.
of sucking at MOBAs, one that I don't suck at. We did a couple first looks in the last week or so. We did Awesomenauts, which just went free to play yesterday, the 24th. So if you want to jump in that, it is now free to play. If you want to open up extra knots, there's a pack you could buy, or you could farm up the in-game currency and buy them. Or you could wait for the rotations for you to check out the different knots. It's a side-scrolling platforming MOBA, and I've got to be honest, I still play this. I played it for 3 or 4 days prior to the first look. I got to like level 4 or 5 on my profile before I did the first look, so I knew the game relatively inside and out. Maybe not the meta and the in-depth strategy, but knew the game and the systems and everything. I still have been playing it since the first look. I actually really enjoyed this one. I'm glad it went free-to-play because the player base seems to really like it, and free-to-play will give them a lot of people to play with, which is what the game was struggling on. And I'm glad it went free-to-play for myself because I never would have paid for this. As soon as I saw that it was any type of MOBA, screw that, I wouldn't have paid for it. Checking it out free-to-play, I think they got a player for at least a while here because I'm still jumping into it. Check out the first look if you haven't seen it. I enjoyed this one. Have either of you two played it yet?
Yeah, I mean, I played it in the past, and I'm not sure how I played it 'cause I don't remember paying for it. So they must have had a free weekend or something. But I hopped in, played it for probably a few hours, and I thought it was all right. But at the time, I was playing something else, and I'll probably go back to it though because I remember it being a very, tight-knit experience that was very solid, entertaining, and had a lot of good things going for it. So
Yeah,
it's definitely great that it's free to play.
A little more simple compared to some other MOBAs, but maybe that's the thing I like about it is it's not as daunting. I forget the term I coined to Troy when we were talking about MOBAs, and he asked, why don't I like them? And I said I probably would. I don't mind the gameplay or the PvP because that's specifically what the game's for. I don't like feeling that I have to put 40, 50, 60 hours into learning metas and items and all this stuff cold and abilities for other characters so that I can recognize Zach's coming at me with this character. What are that character's abilities? What is he likely to trigger in a given point in this situation? I just don't have the time/harassment investment to go with learning a MOBA inside and out. I think this streamlines it a little bit while not making it, feel like a MOBA for 5-year-olds, Jason.
It's almost like you don't like having too many choices in your game.
No, I'm okay with the choices. You know what? If the MOBA community to me is just too toxic. And
the three of us ought to do a team.
I hate not feeling like I can take the time to learn this stuff without being just verbally berated and abused while I'm trying to do so. And that's why I worded it to Troy. I worded it to Troy as I don't have the time/aggravation or insulting investment to make. The other game we did was Kritika Online, which just went into open beta yesterday, the 24th as well, or Kritika Online. I've heard some people pronounce it. It's been available in other markets for a long time now, a couple years, in fact. Kind of an action MMORPG, very instance-based, like a Continent of the Night Seal, Dragon's Nest, something like that, where you're constantly running the same maps over and over again, getting S ranks and A ranks and double S ranks, and farming up loot and gemming and stuff. This one wasn't for me. I appreciate the type of game it was, but generally I don't stick with those types of games long. I liked C9 for about a month. I liked Dragon's Nest for about a month. I liked, Vindictus for about a month. And I think this is the type of game that would run its course for me in about a month. But there are people that just live and die by these types of games, and Kritika does it well. I'm worried that it might feel a bit more dated here in the West because it has been out for 2 years plus in some areas, but it does it well. If you're okay with that type of game and you love that type of game, it's definitely worth checking out, in my opinion, Zach.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't played it, but by looking at the first look, the combat looked all right. No, I'll pass. I'm not really into the instance type of action MMOs that are out there, like the Vindictuses or the Dragon Nest or the C9s. I've just never been a fan of those. I like open worlds, and it just seems like Kritika's way too, I guess you could say, closed in. So yeah,
it definitely is, and particularly early. I mean, the danger zones do open up and get bigger and more expansive as you go in, but for the first 15 plus levels, it is kind of tight, enclosed, very quick encounters, and then back to the town hub.
Yeah.
Jason, what were your thoughts?
It's a thing. and the point I saw you making,
and mass entertainment, so don't use a DPS meter for fuck's sake.
Exactly. The big thing that I saw you talking about too is you kind of were okay with the fatigue system, the way they did it, how it just kind of reduces your XP rather than locking you out entirely.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Bad.
Thank you for bringing that up. So in the Eastern version of this, and in these types of games in general, there's usually that fatigue system, right, where you lose some points every time you run a dungeon or a danger zone or whatever, and then when you're out of points, you can't do anything anymore unless you go to the cash shop and buy their points booster or points fill up item, or you happen to get one in game, or you wait until the daily reset the next day. I know that was a thing on C9, at least. It's been a long time since I played, but it was a thing then, and it's generally a type of thing used in these types of games. And Mass worked with the development house here, and they tweaked that. And I think it was really smart the way they did this. So you get 300 points, right? And as long as you're between 201 and 300 points, you lose a point anytime you enter a dungeon or a danger zone in this game, and you lose a point anytime you transition from one room to the next map room in those dungeons. So in a room that has a dungeon that has 5 rooms in the boss, you're going to lose a point coming in and then lose 4 more points as you transition to the next room, the next room, the next room, the next room. As long as you're between 201 and 300 points, you get 1,000% experience, gold, all these boosts to what you're doing inside the dungeon. If you're between 1 point and 200 points, you get 500% boost. When you hit 0, you can still run danger zones. It doesn't block you from the content. You're just going to get the typical 100% rewards. So you're not losing anything. First off, you're not being blocked out of the content. You're not losing anything as far as the base experience for the dungeon goes. And there is an incentive to keep as many points as you can, to keep your bonuses as high as you can, which helps sell their elite status, their potions, their things like that, without telling you, Zach, you can't play until tomorrow at 9 a.m. Eastern when you get your daily points reset unless you want to give us $3 for that potion right now. And I get it. The base experience sucks. You are losing when you compare to somebody that's getting 1,000%. But you are still able to play, and you are still getting what they set up as the base rewards for these dungeons. I'm okay with it. I thought it was a rather elegant, creative solution that didn't block people out, but also incentivized people to say, maybe elite status is worth a couple of bucks. Maybe spending that potion because I'm trying to get to this today rather than get to it tomorrow because it'll take me a little longer. Maybe I'll shell out a couple of bucks without feeling like I absolutely had to shell out the bucks or totally wait till tomorrow, Jason.
Yeah, I mean, as much as we kind of gave them crap, especially for all the Terra stuff, I remember actually when Terra was first coming out, having an interview with NMAS where they talked about all the things they did to try and change it. Where they went back to the publisher, they went back to Bluehole and said, we need to change this for our Western audience. And I like that they did that for that, and now apparently they've kind of done the same thing with Kritika. So nice to see that they actually work with their Asian publisher to make these things better, unlike some other companies, Tryon, who don't necessarily put forth that kind of effort and just blame it on them, like, oh, there's nothing we can do. It just is like this. We can't do anything. So
no native controller support at launch, though, Zach. And to me, this type of game, I want to play with a controller.
I mean, it depends. If it requires really fine aiming, like if there's a PvP system, then I can understand why there's not. But I mean, it doesn't hurt.
There's 2 control schemes that you can use. The one that I was using in the first look, your attacks always go forward, no matter which direction your character is facing. So you always want to keep enemies on the other side. So here's me, here's my character model. You always want to keep enemies directly across from you in relationship to your character model. Even if your character is facing this way, the attacks are going to go this way. The character will rotate and zip the attack.
So kind of like a wild
what
star
you're
cone
talking
system.
about, this is the second control scheme where, yeah, you would have to be a little finer because if your character is facing left, the ability is going to go left regardless of where you've positioned the enemies. So in that respect, yeah, I can see a little more fine-tuning. But if you're going to use the basic one, it's my ideal game to sit back, have a beer, and just go to town
Just
with the
button
controller.
mash away.
Yeah. So we got keys on the site in a giveaway. If we're out of them right now, we will be getting more next week at the beginning of June. So keep your eyes peeled if you want to check out the beta for that. Let's slide over to the bombs. Now, I didn't pick a lot of viewer comments and bombs this week. I apologize for the viewers, but knowing the things we were going to discuss, I knew this was going to run long. So we're going to be limited on the bombs today. My bomb is a what? A what bomb? A what bomb? It's a what bomb? To Digital Extremes and their new first-person shooting card game on a board game, WTF game. I don't know what the hell it is, Jason. It sounds bizarre as anything, and that's from somebody who loves the game Concept, which is a board game, card game, battling game that some people may be familiar with. I don't know if I'm like, really, wow, that's going to be unique, I got to try this, or, man, you're just trying to jam too much shit together now.
It just surprised me that they came out with this and don't have, like, anything for it. There was, like, 3 paragraphs on their website and an image. That is literally all they have. They don't have, like, a video, no concept art.
Yep.
No FAQ with design, and they're running an alpha, this closed alpha this weekend.
Yep. I mean, I'm gonna check it out. It's called
give us an
Keystone.
idea?
There's gonna be an alpha coming soon, as Jason mentioned. It's a first-person shooter with deck-building elements in a 1970s multiverse board game. So keep your eyes out, and it gets my what bomb of the week. Go ahead, Jason.
I'm going to give a dub bomb to Lord of the Rings Online. Just announced earlier this afternoon they're bringing back Chance Thomas as their composer for the Mordor expansion.
Oh, yeah.
Chance Thomas was their composer, did all the great music that was in the game up through Riders of Rohan. So really going to be great to see him come back, see what kind of take he can give on Sauron's domain.
Fantastic. Zach.
I'm going to give a dub bomb to Heroes of the Storm for still holding my attention after Heroes 2.0 launch. I didn't expect to still be playing it at this point. I thought I was just going to go in, play it a good bit, and then, you know, dump it for something else. But I'm actually still enjoying it, been playing ranked, and yeah, I've just been having a good bit of fun with it. So good job, Blizzard.
From the viewers, we've got Elusive X Treasure checking in. Dub bomb to being obnoxious sometimes. I had a Heroes of the Storm match where I actually felt bad for the other side. Our team consisted of the trio I play with, who are all experienced players, and 2 slightly less experienced players. The other side was all brand spanking newbies, none of which were partied together. I was playing my favorite support character who can dole out some decent damage on her own. The hubby and friend were both playing high damage assassins. We basically ended up farming the other team. Don't worry, though. Karma got us 2 games later, and a really good, fully pre-made party ended up doing the same thing to us. Karma has a way of coming back to bite you. Go ahead, Zach.
Hellsworth says, the bomb to Secret World Legends. I'm waiting for it. A bomb to developers and publishers that look at MMORPGs as a product to be sold instead of a franchise to be spread.
I don't know if I agree with that one. I kind of think you have to look at it as a product to be sold, though. At least initially.
A little bit, at least.
At least initially.
Yeah.
I was about to say, maybe the take is that they see it as like a one-time thing as opposed to something that's supposed to go for years.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the thought he's trying to put
Yeah,
forward.
but we've seen what happens when companies do that, right? The 39 Studios thought Amalur was going to be this, and Copernicus was going to be this huge, long R.A. Salvatore franchise, and yeah.
Yeah, that's probably the exception more than the rule. But
Good
yeah.
job, Rhode Island. Go ahead, Jason.
Mr. Sanchez 159 says A-bomb to Dauntless or Alpha Access. I'm in the Alpha. However, I work graveyard shifts, so I sleep through the times they want at the Alpha. 2 to 10 Pacific. I am sleeping or getting ready for work at these times. Ouch.
That sucks.
Now, obviously, you have to cut out sleep. What the heck are you doing,
Right.
man?
Don't
Priorities.
Totoran, I don't want that expansion if it's free. Tryon. Although he types it Trony. Love it. Trony. Good old Trony. Talking about the Rift expansion that was free for a couple of days.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Zach.
Crispy Bacon says, have a crappy business model, take the player base for a bunch of morons, punish the scrubs for playing by limiting their freedom in-game, and glorify paying players by making them gods in-game equals close your game down due to a game population desertion caused by frustration. Good luck, MMO industry. We were there for you, but you were only there for greed.
Wow. Harsh.
Ouch.
Harsh,
Yeah.
but true words. Go ahead, Jason.
Breckner Catalan says A-bomb to Soulforge for coming back from the dead just to open up the shop but not provide any content for the last few months. Not even a bug fix patch. Also, the forums are dead.
Yeah, Supernova's the exact same way, too. You can still go to the site and click on play, but there is no news on that site or anything, and I don't know if anybody's actually playing it. Somebody emailed us and said, hey, update your page, this is shut down, and from everything I can see, it's not officially shut down, at least. So if you got something that shows me Supernova's officially shut down, please link it to me, because I couldn't find a damn thing. Avocado Poporuli says NCSoft should take over Guild Wars 1 game and continue developing the game, and they should force ArenaNet to rename Guild Wars 2 to World of Warcraft 2. Talking about Tryon Worlds, their games are interesting, but they have a problem with the character animations, movement, emotes. They really need to improve the character side of their games. Only one answer. I love when this happens. Well, I don't love it, but question of the week. Sometimes everybody and their mother, I get 200 replies and I got to pick. This week I got one reply to the actual question of the week. So it's funny when you see that happen. With the resurgence of some old school MMOs seeing a new life on Steam lately, what older MMO would you like to see relaunched or added to Steam client to, and why? And apparently nobody cares. Hellsworth says, question of the week, to me Steam is like any other launching platform. It doesn't make any changes on my preferences. What I mean is, downloading a launcher from the game site or having it on Steam is just about the same, since I choose to get all my game-related news from sites like MMO Bomb, which will give me a broader point of view on certain aspects of the game. So even Hellsworth didn't give me a game.
That's so, how enthusiastic you were about that question.
Maybe dumb question on my part, I guess. We'll chalk it up. But this one I know we're going to get some answers to.
Oh.
What is your divisive MMO thing? The thing in MMOs that you hate, but that little part of your brain realizes it doesn't matter if I hate it, because I know there's a huge audience of people that do like that. Let us know what it is in the comments below, and we'll feature it on next week's show. Until then, Zach, where can everybody find you?
Eric, find me on Twitter at Zach Sharps. That easy.
Mr. Winter.
Find me on Twitter at WinterInformal. Find me streaming at twitch.tv/JasonWinter. The Crossout Open Beta starts on Tuesday, May 30th. Probably going to stream some then, so definitely come and check that out.
You've been following that game for a long time. I'm Mike Byrne, a.k.a. Magic Man. You can follow me personally on Twitter at MagicMan. I missed the point. There it is. MagicMan1, MAGICKMANN1. Of course, while you're there, follow at MMO Bomb so that we can tweet right at you all the news, articles, first looks, interviews, previews, giveaways, and more that we post on a daily basis in the world of free-to-play gaming. Until next week, stay safe. We'll see you on the servers.